Hi, hope everyone's been having a good April. I know with the whole coronavirus situation, everyone's kind of uncomfortable, and with everyone in online class, it's definitely different from what we were expecting and what we've been accustomed to. But I feel like Dr. Belcher has been doing a very good job in keeping us up to date. The lectures have gone smoothly, and with the movie analysis, I feel like it's gone even smoother. I was surprised with my movie of choice being Ferris Bueller's Day Off, how much interpersonal communication really happened. But there only being three main characters, there were a decent amount of side characters, but there was a lot of good communication that happened. And it was very nice because I was expecting this project to be a little difficult at first. We'll start off with a quick synopsis of the film. Ferris Bueller's Day Off follows Ferris Bueller, who seems to be incredibly skilled in the art of cutting class. He sets up this whole scenario with a dummy in the bed, and a whole pulley system, so they're fooled. And he goes out to roam Chicago with his best friend Cameron and his girlfriend Sloane. They borrow Cameron's father's Ferrari, participate in the Chicago Day Parade, and they pretend to be the Sausage King of Chicago in order to get into a fancy restaurant. Chaos ensues as the dean of students, Mr. Rooney, and his sister put it all on the line in order to try to catch him skipping school and get him in trouble. Basics of interpersonal communication. A good example of listening and interpersonal communication happens during a conversation between the dean of students and Ferris Bueller's mother. She gets a call from him while she is at work. He lets her know that Ferris Bueller was not at school that day, and he asks if she was aware of this. She says no, she says yes, but she meant to call, and she apologizes over and over again, letting him know that she was aware, she meant to call, it was all a misunderstanding. He understands, and then he lets her know that it is his 9th day of the semester absent, and he will not be afraid to hold him back another year if necessary. This is all news to her. She lets him know that while the news is very new, she understands the severity of the issue, and she'll be sure that it doesn't happen again. This is a good example of both listening and later on in the chapters, we talk about the process of conversation, from opening, feed forward, the business, the feedback, and closing. This is an all-around good conversation, and it comes up with my second slide too. It also puts the blame on her. When he calls, she's not saying like, "Oh, it shouldn't be a big deal. I didn't call him off." She says, "I know I should have done this. I apologize," and then they continue on with the conversation. Interpersonal communication and messages. Again, there's a scene between Ferris and Cameron, and we can really see the deep bond that they both have. When Cameron is rightfully upset, Ferris criticizes his phony phone call that he made to try to get Sloane out of class, and then Cameron explodes, saying, "If you don't like how I do it, stop asking me to do it." And as he's about to leave, Ferris quickly apologizes and lets him know, very sarcastically, while Cameron did in fact screw up, it wasn't entirely his fault. Ferris was also partially to blame. He messed up. He was messing with Cameron during the phony phone call. And you can really see that they've been best friends for a while. And there's something I think I list in the next slide. I'm not sure if I list it, but at some point, the relationship between them is very interesting. In the chapter we talked about relationship, you can get different things out of a relationship, and it definitely seems like they are looking for different things in each other. Cameron is definitely looking for excitement in Ferris. Ferris is skipping school. He's roaming the town. They're driving Ferraris, participating in parades. In Cameron's home life, it's very bland. His family is very fortunate to have a lot of money, so he's expected to do good in school and be bored all the time. Ferris, on the other hand, he's looking for utility in the friendship. Cameron is able to do a lot of things he can't. He's good at making the phony phone calls. He has the cars. He had the money. So while they are looking for different things, they're both happy with the relationship. Interpersonal relationships. Here it is. Yeah, I think this is what I was just talking about. A scene in the beginning of the film featuring them both having a phone call shows us the relationship they have. Ferris pokes and prods until he gets what he wants, and it shows that Ferris gets a friend who helps him with his shenanigans. Yeah, like I was saying, the utility versus excitement relationship. And it's very symbolic of something that he wanted to do with his life, because later in the film, Cameron ends up destroying the Ferrari. That was a big symbol in the movie because he kept saying that for his father, it meant more to him than life itself. And when he destroyed the Ferrari, it really showed that he didn't care about being this boring, mundane life. He really wanted some excitement. He really wanted to live his own life and be his own person. More on interpersonal relationships. One of the final scenes of the movie, Ferris and Sloane have a small talk on her lawn. They make small talk. They talk about if Cameron's going to be all right after destroying the car. They talk about him going to college. They talk about Ferris moving on after high school. But most of the conversation is just smiling and no talking. Lots of nonverbal communication, and you can really see the relationship, how it's built up to this point. They kiss. He runs off. He wants to get home before 6 o'clock. And most of the conversation, like I said, it's just filled with smiling and no talking. It really shows that in their relationship, they don't need to talk to communicate. They understand all the nonverbal words. They're just happy to be in each other's presence, which is further along the lines of a relationship, as we talked about in the chapter of how relationships are built. In conclusion, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a fun film with lots of interpersonal communication scattered all throughout the movie, using things such as emotional messages, the process of communication, nonverbal messages, and nature of conflict to allow the film to exemplify how to properly communicate and hold a relationship in an interpersonal setting. Here are my references, both the movie and the textbook. And I really hope everyone enjoyed this project. I personally did. And I hope everyone has a good summer. I'd like to thank Dr. Belcher for making this an enjoyable class, coming into interpersonal communication. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was very happy to see that what we were talking about was interesting and was all given to us in a very easy to understand way. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching my presentation.